of We're on the Move. I'm your host, Soraya Soy Free, and today's topic is identity crisis. Do African Americans and Latinos suffer from an identity crisis? I don't know. Here to discuss that topic with us today is Mr. Hakim Green, co-host of The Hour of Truth, along with his host of The Hour of Truth, Mr. Baba Nu. And, let's see. Did I forget somebody? Oh, DJ, what's your name?
DJ Big Jeff. You know what time it is. Let's go.
DJ Big Jeff, I see you. And with that, by the way, before we go into commercial break, do you suffer from an identity crisis?
Nah.
How do you know you don't? Do you know who you are?
Of course I know who I am.
Okay, so tell us, who are your ancestors?
Who are my ancestors?
Yeah.
What, my heritage, where I come from?
No, your ancestors.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I do know them though.
That's why we need this show. That's why we need this show, and we'll be right back. Can I get some music, please?
An impaired driver killed both my parents and seriously injured my brother and myself. The last time I saw or said anything to my parents was in the car before the ambulance got there. I kissed their cheeks and told them I loved them. It was the last time I kissed my mother. Living without my parents is absolutely terrifying. It's not fair. New Brunswick, remember my family. Don't drink and drive.
And we're back to We're on the Move. I'm your host, Soraya Soy Free, and today's topic is identity crisis. Do African Americans and Latinos suffer from an identity crisis? Joining us today, we have Mr. Baba Nu, author and host of the Hour of Truth blog radio show. And alongside him, we also have his co-host, Hakim Green. I'd like to welcome you both to the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Hakim,
yes.
What is your definition of identity?
When I think of identity, I don't look at identity just in terms of the physical self or the individual self, but as above, so below. You have the macrocosmic, the microcosmic. Now, what that means is scientists have proven that every element found in nature can also be found inside the human body. So a true self-identity is knowing who you are in relationship to your environment around you.
Okay, so with that being said, how important is it for a person to identify to a race and or culture? And how important is it for a person to identify to a race or culture in this country?
Malcolm X said that just because a kitten is born in the oven don't make them biscuits, right?
I always like that saying. It always makes me chuckle.
And what that means is that indigenous, right? Indigenous, Indus, Kush, indigo is a dark colored stone. The word Indian comes from indigenous, doesn't come from India. Indigenous people are from the land. How we say elements, all the elements that can be found in nature can be found in the human body, that's true, but relative to the environment in which they're grown. Potatoes and carrots grow in two separate places. They have different sets of nutrients in them, do different things. Same way for human beings. Africans, native to Africa, function, I would say, more holistically on the African continent. People who are indigenous to this continent, same thing, Europe, and respective to all continents, where you're indigenous to has a better resonance because that's who you are, that's what you are.
why do so many African Americans and Latinos have a hard time recognizing their African origins and only see themselves as like Black Americans with roots in the South, while others see themselves with only roots in the islands and then that's it?
You hear older Black folks say, I ain't no African, I don't come from Africa. To some degree, that's true. We know the origin of humanity is Africa.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, but a lot of Latinos say that too. A lot of Dominicans say, yo no soy africano. You know,
Well,
I'm not
that's
African.
That's a political thing there. And people like to associate with the winner. Europeans won. Even the term race, when you used the word race earlier, race denotes competition. What are we competing for? Aren't we all humans? By saying race, now we're dividing people up and then setting them to compete against one another. People tend to like to associate themselves with the winner, not the loser. Black people, how we put it, Africans lost, so nobody wants to be down with the loser.
Right.
But we may not have, we may have lost the battle, but we're gonna win the war.
The United States has systemically taught us from preschool to pledge allegiance to the flag, to this country. Given the distorted history, does this make us turn away from ourselves? And what I mean by turning away from ourselves is by turning away from who we are, Black people or people of darker skin.
Well, no, again, it's when you identify who you are, the macrocosm, the macrocosmic self, we are the indigenous people here. Okay, we taught them government. If you research Thomas Jefferson, Six Nation Confederacy of the Iroquois, Thomas Jefferson says he learned this system of government, the Republican form of government, from the Native Americans here. We were practicing so-called democracy since the 1300s here in this land. So these things are not foreign to us. We just haven't identified who we are. Now, when we look at the Pledge of Allegiance, it says, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic, not the democracy, to the republic for which it stands. We have a lot of, we have to put things into proper context and then see ourselves in the bigger picture. People who pledge allegiance to America and who, you know, find some value in the true American ideal, I'm all for it. I think that we have an identity in that.
Do you think that African American history is being edited or watered down? Facts are being excluded when taught to our children?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question because it's going to seem like a contradiction to what I just said. I hope your viewers can, you know, just rock.
No, and they could rock because they're
ride with
smart.
me.
I'm
Ride
telling
with
you,
me.
they
Ride with me.
what?
Ride with me. Now, the United States of America, all capital lettered, the corporation, is not for the people. It's for corporations. Okay. The public school system is to train us to make sure the corporation works. God created man. Man can't tell God what to do. Man created governments and corporations, so why governments and corporations telling man what to do? Okay? Because we don't know who we are. We think we're less than the corporation when in fact we're above the corporation. We elect the officials. We sign on to whatever bailout money.
But we keep telling them that, but they don't listen.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But again, it's understanding who you are and tying it back to the topic, identity. Who are you? Who are you in relationship to everything else going around you? And when you identify who you truly are, you realize that you have the ultimate power, not a fiction called a corporation.
Wow. And with that, we'll be right back.
The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Team in Training program is beating cancer.
It's an incredible experience and something that you will never forget.
They give you everything you need to accomplish your goal.
And I promise you, at the end, it will change your life.
Join Team in Training today.
And welcome back to a fresh new season of We're on the Move. I'm your host, Soraya Soy Free, and I'm sitting here with Baba Nu, host of the online blog radio show, The Hour of Truth. And alongside of him is Mr. Hakim Green, his co-host. We left off discussing the identity crisis among African Americans and Latinos, and you provided us with some examples of how the public school systems tend to miseducate our children by omitting vital information. Now, my question is, how does that impact our children, our black children, our Latino children, our white children?
Public school system is not founded in truth. It's founded in promoting ideals of capitalism and consumerism. In capitalism, consumerism is more interested in profits. It's not based in truth. A lot of truth happens to not be as profitable as selling fantasy and falsehood. They need a caste system where people naturally fill certain roles. You need a poor class of people. In America, you're not supposed to force people into different positions, so you have to brainwash them into accepting these positions naturally. So the school systems, the religious systems, the economic systems promote an ideal of white skin privilege. And because we've been utterly, totally brainwashed, we promote the ideals actually that are contrary to our survival. We tend to be racist amongst ourselves. Light skin over dark skin, good hair versus kinky hair. Just little slight, real superficial ways of keeping people in line and keeping people in a certain position.
Keeping people in check.
Keeping people in check, keeping people feeling inferior, so when they're given something inferior, they don't fight back.
And not only that, but it's also the stepping stone or the beginning process of being conditioned into knowing what role in society you play and how to really stay in your lane, stay in your role.
Right. Like when we talk about democracy, we talk about republicanism and the American way of life. We think that started 1776 with the quote-unquote founding fathers. We don't know who Benjamin Banneker is. We're not really given a lot of extensive information on Benjamin Banneker and John Hanson and so many other early Americans of African descent who played a part in the building of this nation. We don't know the part that the indigenous people of this land played in teaching Europeans how to survive in America. That's a big deal. To quote a friend of mine, Ahmed Rashid, he said, we send our children off to the slave master and then wonder why a slave comes home. And that's the American school system.
That's brilliant.
Is not going to educate your child. That's up to you to do that.
Did you hear him?
You may send your child to the public school system because you need a babysitter during the day while you work. But true education is going to happen in the home. It's going to happen in the mosque, in the church, in the temple. True education happens outside of school. I took an education course in college. Professor Sippo, white American, Italian American, brilliant man. He was in his 70s. He was a tenured professor, so he got away with a lot of things that other professors couldn't get away with. He used to tell us that the American school system is designed to create good consumers. That's it. It's to teach you enough so you can go in and purchase and count your change and keep receipts and pay your taxes. It's there to train you. It's not there to educate you. The word education comes from a Latin word, adducere. Adducere literally means to bring out. So education is supposed to be about tapping into young people and then bringing out what's there.
Right, what's already in
there.
you.
So
exactly. Yeah. Are our attitudes and world point of view being shaped by manipulated information?
Definitely so. Manipulated information. Let's just put it this way and keep in harmony with what you guys were discussing. How many people know that the American flag comes from the continent of Africa? How many people know that the American flag is found in ancient Egypt, which was a black nation? Very, very few people know that. So our attitudes, self-identity, how we think of ourselves, what we even think of, you could say white people as being the framers of the institutions of this country, they learned just about every single thing that they do from the people that were populating this planet before them, building nations before them. How many people know that you can find in the Indus Valley? This is Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa Valley. This is Kemet. This is Nubia. This is Ethiopia, Somalia. You can find ancient indoor toilets. How many people know that? How many people know that they had astronomical observatories? How many people know that they were building museums 5,000 years ago?
Wow.
Our attitudes being shaped by manipulated information, the public education system all the way up to the college level, Ivy League schools, people are not being taught the truth about human life, about human history, and what type of contributions the indigenous people made to civilization. You know, in many ways, I would say in Western civilization, except for the fact that they don't provide people the need to really heal themselves and deal with a lot of the, you know, things that happen in life, and except for you know, things like television and stuff like that, cell phones, these things that we see, universities, they had universities thousands of years ago, and they call it a university because you're supposed to learn about the universe. Having a liberal arts course in a college, that was standard back in ancient Egypt, so that a person would get a well-rounded education. It was necessary that you learn how to sing, you learn how to dance. It was necessary that you learn how to play an instrument so that you could be a well-rounded individual. These are things that were pioneered before there was a Caucasian race of people on the planet.
Okay, so you're speaking about manifestation behaviors. So what kind of behaviors manifest from these attitudes and tainted point of view?
Well, the thing is, and this is where it becomes real to me in terms of what type of attitudes. I don't think that people want to be hypocrites, but most people are, because the culture, the Western culture, is a hypocritical culture. The culture itself is a fraud. When you are skewing the dates as to when human beings started doing certain things and what type of things human beings were doing, when this history is in everybody's racial memory.
How does identity affect the economic system?
I represent hip hop. Hip hop is what it is.
All day.
It's the end all, the be all to our generation.
All day.
But hip hop came about because we were forced to depend on self. Hip hop came about because they were pulling resources out of the public school system, the arts programs, the sports programs. And because people had to depend on themselves for culture, we were allowed to go in. We go in, the whole idea of going in. What education is about going in and then expressing what you find. And that became hip hop. And then because no one wanted to deal with hip hop outside of our community, we became the initial entrepreneurs. We became the first marketers and the first PR people and the first, because we were forced to depend on self. We had self-identity. We had value. You know, hip hop is about that competition, being the best, outdoing the next person or the next group. And when you have that type of value, you want to be it. You want to be down by law. You want to be, you know, you know how it is. And,
right, I know,
you know,
I've been there,
you
done,
want to be
you
hot.
know.
You want to be, you know.
Well, I haven't done that.
But that's
I just been there, observed from far.
That's that value. When you know you can do something better than somebody, you have value, you have self-worth, and you want to express that self-worth. And then you're able to turn that intangible value into monetary value. And that's why the rap industry became a multi-billion-dollar industry. But again, because as a entire community, we don't value the self. When the older generation sees the younger generation doing something different, they shun it. You need to just go to college and get a degree. You need validation from them,
Right.
or it's worth nothing.
Baba Nu, you wrote 2 new books. Can you tell us a little bit about these books and can I find some of the issues that we discuss now in your books, or the origin of how it started? Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
The Guardians Decoded Volume 1 and 2 are a book series that deals with showing the process that was used to create the universe are the tools and techniques that indigenous people used to set up their civilization. It also shows you that there's no dichotomy between religion, science, culture, math, astrology, biology, chemistry, physics. All of these disciplines are harmoniously weaved together in the indigenous classical nations of antiquity. And they're used, the wisdom that lies within these disciplines are used to create a healthy civilization, help people to have a harmonious, well-knitted mental framework so that they're not mentally imbalanced. It it's by, you know, when I look at the cosmological doctrines of the ancients, the original people of the planet, they have theories in there, accurate theories in there that allow you to deal or get rid of things like jealousy and envy. When you understand that the universe is, the macrocosmos is infinite, meaning there's enough for everybody. That helps you to better live as a person. There is not that competition is a bad thing, but the thinking that I must compete in a certain way else I won't have, and not realizing that you can tap into your creative potential like what hip artists did and bring something totally new to the market and thrive and prosper.
It's not acceptable to call me a nigger.
It's not acceptable to call me a spick.
To call me a chink.
To call me a fag.
It's not acceptable to call me a kike.
And it's not acceptable to call me a retard or call yourself or your friends retarded when they do something foolish.
The R word is the same as every minority slur. Treat it that way and don't use it.
Spread the word to end the word.
Welcome back to We're on the Move. I'm your host, Soraya Soy Free, and we're here today with Mr. Hakim Green and Mr. Babanu discussing the identity crisis issue among African Americans and Latinos. Not too long ago, ancient Egyptians were portrayed as being white. Is that true?
Not too long ago, it was very, very common for European or Caucasian authors to only depict the ancient Egyptians as Caucasian people. Now, when you read from contemporary Caucasian authors, as I do, they always state these were a black people, these were African people. That was done because when you are trying to oppress a people, as the oligarchs, the architects, the leaders of the Caucasian race attempted to do to the indigenous people, you want to take away their inspiration. You want to take away their glory. This is a psychological beatdown, as you can say. So by denying the great achievements of a people, you thrust them into depression.
So let me ask you, in Hakim, in telling the truth, do you think that in telling the truth you're being against any particular group of people, or you're being a racist, or you're being hateful?
No, not at all. I think on the contrary, I think it's for everyone's benefit that we know what the truth is. It's for everyone's benefit that we know we have a strong foundation that's rooted in truth, so we can build from that foundation and our project will be more secure.
Can you tell us a little bit about your blog radio show? Because we're running out of time.
Okay, the name of the Blog Talk Radio show is blogtalkradio.com/Hour of Truth. Myself and Bob and New are the hosts, and we like to bring our truth. Now, it's spelled HOUR, of truth. Time. It's time for the truth. What truth? Our truth, our perspective, our vision. blogtalkradio.com/HOUR of truth.
And so can you tell us a little bit? I know you guys have a website together, and I saw it. You showed it to me the other day. It was beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because I know our viewers would love to see it.
Well, you know, the OurTruth.com page or site is a place where we can continuously document our truth as we move. So it's like it's our own personal reality show. It's how we get down, how we do things. It's our flavor, our swag, how we rock. You know what I mean?
You know how we do it.
Nah, me.
Hell yeah.
So Our Truth, HOUR truth.com is the website.
And so what can our viewers expect from the two dynamic conscious duos? Because that's what I'm going to call y'all. Dynamic conscious duos. My brothers.
We're about to change hip-hop and change the world.
And that's what I'm talking about, because I'm there right with you. I'm trying to change the world right now. I'm trying to bring you some consciousness, some enlightenment. Bring me a teacher.
I'm here.
Hey, there
I got you.
I'd like to thank you both for coming and joining us on my program.
You're welcome.
And clearing things up for us. And not just clearing things up for us, but bringing another perspective and a great understanding to our existence and to the way things are. My name is Soraya Soy Free, servant of the people, and we're on the move. Hey, we're on the move.